Ezekiel chapter 27, talking about the riches and eventually the irrecoverable fall of Tyre. Okay? Tyre was the main dealer, merchants. Okay, they had the sailors, they had the infrastructure for commerce, and eventually all that's going to go away between Nebuchadnezzar, besieging Tyre for 13 years. After he got done with Jerusalem, he tried to besiege Tyre for 13 years, didn't conquer it, but then eventually got to, down a couple hundred years later, Alexander the Great finally conquered Tyre and pretty much destroyed, if you will, the economy of the whole world at the time. Okay? And during Alexander's time, the city of Alexandria in Egypt became the center of commerce during his time. But in the meantime, so now here, and we've been going through all of these nations, and all of these nations and towns and whatever cities and countries traded through Tyre. They brought their stuff there. They brought their goods there, and then they brought their goods to Tyre, and then Tyre shipped them out to the rest of the world, and it was just trading all over the place. We're down in, let's see, I think verse 18. Okay, let's see, verse 17, we had Judah, land of Israel. They were thy merchants. They traded in thy market, wheat of Minnith and Panag. We tried to figure out what Panag was. Either Panag was a place or it was an item of trade. I guess the commentators aren't real positive. Some of these places, like the wheat market, wheat of Minnith, they don't know where these places are. If there was a place called Panag, they haven't found it yet. They don't, the archaeologists haven't found it yet. They're not sure where it was. It was a, if you will, if it was a city, it was a city of Israel, a city of Judah, and somewhere, wherever it was. Okay? And so, and Panag, we got honey, oil, and balm. And some commentators, again, said, it's a place. Oh, no, it's a type of honey. It's a type of oil or balm. Or it's a name of honey, or brand name. You get Panag honey, right? Okay, and down in verse 18, Damascus in Syria was thy merchant in the multitude of the wares of thy making, for the multitude of all riches, in the wine of Helbon and white wool. Okay? So Damascus and Syria had wine, and Helbon is another one of those places, and apparently the Syrian white wool was famous. Okay, and come down to verse 19 again, continuing through these lists of places. Some of these places, okay, they have place names. A lot of these were like in Arabia. Okay, they were places in Arabia. And verse 19, Dan. Now this particular Dan is not the tribe of Dan. The Jewish tribe of Dan. It's a place in Arabia, and this particular place, Dan, in Arabia, is not mentioned anywhere else. Again, We don't know where it was or is, if it's still around. Okay. Dan also and Javan, going to and fro, occupied in thy fairs. Okay. So again, conducting business, going to and fro, buying and selling. And this was the mainstay of the commerce of the economy, the entire economy of the world then. Okay. Now, there's an ancient name of a city in Arabia, Musal, okay, and and I guess apparently Musal also has kind of the meaning of going to and fro. And it's from Uzal. It was the ancient name of the capital of Yemen, okay, in Arabia. And Greek merchants would carry on commerce between Uzal and Tyre. Okay? So we've got commerce going on all over the place. So, and that's possibly this Dan, let's see, oh, yeah. Dan also going to and fro, occupied in thy fairs, bright iron. Okay. This is wrought iron, and it's wrought iron, bright iron, it's shiny. It was worked into plates and smoothed and polished. And Yemen, I think Yemen kind of would, Javan, you know, it sounds like it would be close to Yemen, but this area, Dan and Javan, Yemen was famous for the manufacture of sword blades. Okay, so you buy your iron, you can make your swords. And also we have cassia and calamus were in thy market, in the markets of Tyre, from Dan and Javan. Cassia is the inner bark of an aromatic plant. Okay, it's what? Tree sap. Yeah, if you will. Calamus was a fragrant reed-like plant. Okay, and both are specially products of India and Arabia. So, you know, and they kind of course, you know, aromatic plants, you make perfumes and stuff like that out of them. Of course, we all know about, you know, frankincense and myrrh, and you know, those were tree saps from, you know, trees, and so we know all about that. And then in verse 20. So, but all of this stuff is coming to the markets from all these different places. Dedan was thy merchant in precious clothes for chariots. We mentioned this one last week. And Dedan was another area of Arabia. And let's see, Dedan, but they had precious clothes for chariots. These were coverings, cloths, tapestry. Okay, and it's kind of remarkable that we've got Dedan and Sheba, and this is not the Sheba of the Queen of Sheba. The Queen of Sheba was thought to have come from like Ethiopia in Africa, you know, there. But this is a different Sheba. These names occur both among descendants of Ham and Shem. Okay, they're among the descendants of Abraham and Keturah in Genesis chapter 25, indicating that there were distinct nomadic tribes bearing the same names of Hamite and Semitic origin. Okay? and they get all mixed together. Everybody over there, even at the time of Ezekiel, okay, they're all related. Everybody, we're through, the sons of Noah, we are all related. We're all distant cousins. However many times removed, and second, third, fourth cousins, 12 times removed, whatever, but they're all related. Okay? And if you will, the descendants of Ham and Shem, they intermingled, and distinct nomadic tribes, and where some of the nomadic tribes of Arabs, okay, some of the Arab tribes were Hamite, Semitic, okay, and they're mixed origins, and they can all trace their lineage to Ham and Shem, mix them all together, and a number of Arabian nomad tribes, okay, mentioned together, and these tribes and their caravans, okay, remember, they're all, this is all commerce mixed in, okay, and in those days, regular merchant travelers between east and west, and Tyre by her ships spread over Europe, the goods, which by these caravans, okay, they obtained stuff from India and China, okay. I mean, this was worldwide, like what we've got today, worldwide commerce. So that's what most of these names are. Verse 21, Arabia, and all the princes of Kedar, they occupied with thee in lambs and rams and goats. Okay? A lot of the nomadic tribes, that's what they raised livestock and traded livestock for what they needed. And in these were they thy merchants. Everybody was a merchant of Tyre. The merchants of Sheba, okay, again, and Raamah, they were thy merchants. They occupied in thy fairs with chief of all spices, and with all precious stones and gold. Okay. Haran and Cana and Eden, the merchants of Sheba, Asher, and Chilmad were thy merchants. These were thy merchants in all sorts of things, in blue clothes and broidered work, and in chests of rich apparel, bound with cords. Okay? If you're going to sell, nice clothes, you got to have nice chests to put them in. Okay, in chests of rich apparel, bound with cords, and made of cedar. Here's where the cedar chests came from. That let's see, Casey has one. Yeah, you've got a cedar chest, and of course Bonnie had. I've still got her cedar chest. Everybody's got a cedar chest to put your. You probably still have yours, Daisy. You have a cedar chest? Yeah, you have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine is still in.
I don't know if it's still a thing. If having a cedar chest is still a thing these days with the millennials or not. They hold up well. They smell nice. Okay. And they keep your stuff preserved and smelling nice. But so here's blue clothes, broidered work, chests of rich apparel, bound with cords, made of cedar among thy merchandise. And the ships of Tarshish did sing of thee ships of Tarshish did sing of thee in thy market. You remember, Tarshish was way on the west coast, over close to Spain, or part of Spain. Did sing of thee, and thou wast replenished. Okay? So Tarshish was trading. The ships of Tarshish would visit Tyre, and the ships of Tyre would visit Tarshish. Tarshish is another one of those 3 times fast words. And made very glorious in the midst of the seas. Everybody was getting rich here. Okay? Thy rowers, verse 26, kind of changed the subject here. Thy rowers have brought thee into great waters. Okay? Your sailors, your rowers, the east wind hath broken thee in the midst of the sea. Okay? And the east wind, and so everybody here, broken the. I think east wind helps them go west, and the winds in the Mediterranean, they go. Let's see, I'm not exactly sure. They probably hit the winds going west, maybe at the north part, and hit the winds coming east and south. Right? Thy riches and thy fares, thy merchandise, thy mariners, and thy pilots, thy caulkers, everybody, and the occupiers of thy merchandise, and all thy men of war that are in thee, and in all thy company which is in the midst of thee, shall fall into the midst of the seas in the day of thy ruin. Wow, this is the destruction of Tyre here. All that they have, the merchandise, the sailors, the fares, all of that stuff, which shall fall into the midst of the seas in the day of thy ruin. And like I said, that would, about 200 years later, when Alexander the Great finally conquers Tyre. Remember, there were two portions of Tyre. There was the onshore portion and an island out, okay? And that made it hard to get to for anybody trying to conquer it. And I think Alexander built a causeway out there and conquered Tyre, destroyed it, and it's a nice little archaeological site nowadays. Okay? So the day of thy ruin, everything, the suburbs shall shake at the sound of the cry of thy pilots. Okay? The pilots are the ones that guided the ships around. Okay? And because now, hey, massive unemployment. Pilots are gone. The caulkers are gone. They're all out of jobs. The men of war are gone. They're out of jobs. All the company, all the traders, all those merchants, they're out of jobs. And now they're crying, okay? And the suburbs are shaking at the sound of the cry. And all that handle the oar, the mariners, and all the pilots of the sea shall come down from their ships. Okay? They shall stand upon the land. Okay? All the sailors lose their jobs, out of work, unemployed, just like everybody here suffering through COVID. Unemployed, out of work, and come down upon the land, and shall cause their voice to be heard against thee, and shall cry bitterly, and shall cast up dust upon their heads. They shall wallow themselves in the ashes. And these are, signs of mourning. Again, this whole chapter is a lamentation, a funeral dirge for Tyre. And they will, all of the merchants, everybody involved will take up the lamentation, take up the mourning of the loss of the city of Tyre. And they shall make themselves utterly bald for thee. Outward signs of mourning, shaving their heads, gird them with sackcloth, and they shall weep for thee with bitterness of heart and bitter wailing. And in their wailing they shall take up a lamentation for thee, and lament over thee, saying, What city is like Tyrus, like the destroyed in the midst of the sea? When thy wares went forth out of the seas, thou fillest many people. Thou didst enrich the kings of the earth with the multitude of thy riches and of thy merchandise. Tyre made a lot of people rich. Okay? In the time when thou shalt be broken by the seas and the depths of the waters, thy merchandise and all thy company in the midst of thee shall fall. Complete destruction. All the inhabitants of the isles shall be astonished at thee. They'll be surprised at the fall of Tyre, astonished, amazed that it could happen. How could this happen? They were doing so well, making everybody rich, and their kings shall be sore afraid. They shall be troubled in their countenance. Okay. The merchants among the people shall hiss at thee. Thou shalt be a terror, and never shalt be any more. Tyre is not any kind of a trading city these days anymore. So we finished a chapter. Real quick. Some of these, you can get through them pretty quick. But, and Tyre is done with. And actually, chapter 28 continues with a little bit more about Tyre, okay? And we throw in Zidon here.